Hello, America. Dave Hodges here, host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Thank you so much for joining us. To our friends around the world, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here too. We serve God, family, country in that order. And this is about country. And it does get into some sidebar issues with spiritual. It does. And we're going to repeat a theme that I've said many times because it comes up here. But we've been investigating the claim that Israel and the American military are going to merge. And I regret to inform you that that claim is true. It's in current pending American legislation. I'm sure they're not going to vote on it until after the midterms, probably even later. And I'll tell you why. Because with the under 50 crowd, they're not buying the fact that Israel's our friend. Right or wrong, that's what the polls tell us. And we're going to take a look at this in some detail, and we're going to come to a legitimate position here on this. And I'm hoping that you'll embrace this and you'll share far and wide. We're brought to you by My Digital Money. I got lucky yesterday. To catch a quick interview with Guy Gottslack. He's the CEO of My Digital Money, and we talked about the crypto space. And I said, I'm seeing the banks are buying this up. The wealthy investors are making huge investments, but the price is just basically edging up a little bit. He said, Dave, I agree with what you have said before. The explosion is coming. They're just waiting till they can gather enough to make an absolute killing. Well, my belief is when in Rome, do as the Romans do. My Digital Money is here to help you. And this is a great, great, great short-term investment. So what do? You go to mydigitalmoney.com, look at the website, ask any questions. The number's on there, 833. I'm going to have to give you initial 833 MDM 2008. Now, mydigitalmoney.com will get you there. My Digital Money will get you to prosperity. Okay, we're looking at the claim here that within the National Defense Authorization Act, otherwise known as the NDAA, that Israel and America are merging militaries. And you're saying, well, gee, don't we already have that? We have a real close relationship with them. And no, 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 no. They're not members of NATO. We have no mutual defense pact with Israel. We don't have a firm obligation. We have a closer obligation with NATO. We have an alliance, a treaty, and Article 5. An attack upon one is an attack upon all. We have nothing like that with Israel. And I'm going to tell you what's going to be the result if this legislation passes. We will lose control of our military. We will lose control of our dominance over the rest of the world with high-tech weaponry. This is a national security issue. And even if Israel's character, attitude, behavior was as pure as the driven snow, which we know under Netanyahu it is not, but even if that was the case, this would still pose a significant national security threat. Right now, we just funnel all kinds of money and weaponry to Israel, but we're smart about it. We don't give them everything like the F-35 they get. Well, they're making modifications because we leave a lot out. And we leave it out so we can maintain technological superiority. Well, let me just say this with Israel before I get into the sum total of the agreement that's coming, or the law, I should say, that's going to be passed under the NDAA. Israel has spied on us since day one. President Kennedy had trouble with them. President Carter had massive trouble. He was very critical of Israel when he left office. He said they only care about themselves. They exploit their friends and neighbors, and yeah, and they're always at odds with their neighbors. Now, I agree. In the beginning, their neighbors were a problem, and the Jewish people that settled there were in big, big, big trouble. I totally agree with that. And I supported every Israeli war as a war of self-defense up until Gaza. And I'm not going to revisit that, but we've talked about a lot of funny business there and certainly a lot of genocide. Now, what's interesting about this is you got Jonathan Pollard as an example. Israel's such a friend that they recruited an American Jewish person, Jonathan Pollard, who gave up our agent asset list inside Russia, our spies. Do you think anyone was killed? Well, the answer would be, of course they were. And Israel did this to gain favor with Russia. Pollard, I think, should have faced capital punishment under our treason laws. Instead, he got sentenced, but because of Israeli pressure from groups like AIPAC, he got released. He's a free man in Israel, advocating for everything pro-Israel and really basically anti-American. And we say Israel's our closest ally. No, they're not. They're not even close to our closest ally. They are a problem. They got us into a war for who knows what leverage they had over Trump. But we're in a war right now, and Colonel Douglas Macgregor has got it right. We could have tried diplomatic channels, we could have tried other solutions, more peaceful means that don't take lives, but we went right to the let's kill a fly with a sledgehammer approach. And that's what we did. And this was disgusting. And what's going on right now is disgusting, and we're losing. You say, well, we're not, yeah, we are losing. We're losing because oil's not flowing to a petroleum-based economy. And you say, well, it's having no effect. We're self-sufficient in oil. That's what the president tells us. Well, so much for the president. If that was the case, then why is gas at almost $5 a gallon and for diesel it's at 6? Can someone tell me that, please? How is that not a problem? Because of this war we're in? Okay, so let's get down to the meat of the matter. Merging the militaries. I'm not exaggerating. It's covered in section 224. And what I've been able to learn is the reps that introduced this into an obscure part of the bill. It was written by AIPAC, the Israeli lobby, unregistered Israeli lobby, and they put it in word for word. And the people that did it are on the AIPAC payroll through campaign donations, which 94% of Congress is. Well, I'm sure I just got banned for saying that by going into the UK. Did you hear about Jens? Did you hear about him? The Young Turks? He's banned. He was supposed to go give a talk at Oxford. No, you're banned because you're anti-Israel. This is the UK. Doesn't matter. You're anti-Israel. He was anti-Israeli policy, not attacking Jewish people. But see, here's where this gets convoluted. If I criticize or you criticize or Jenks criticizes Netanyahu in Israeli military and foreign policy, you're anti-Semitic. It's Genesis 12:3. You have a duty to obey Israel. That's not what the Bible says. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. I agree with that. We should respect Israel, but it doesn't mean we subvert what's best for our country because of their warlike, imperialistic, aggressive tendencies. And that's exactly what happened in this war. That's not biblical. It doesn't fall into the Christian faith to do that. And they're trying to make it so Genesis 12:3 is the cornerstone. It's kind of like the burning bush of what our foreign policy should be. And that's wrong because our covenant with the Lord is not with Genesis 12:3. That was Abraham and God, and that failed. And that necessitated the birth, the life, the teachings, the crucifixion, and then ultimately the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's our covenant as Christians, not Genesis 12:3. But that's not what you hear from politicians who get large sums of money from AIPAC, like Ted Cruz. When I got elected to the Senate, it was my number one mission to represent Israel and protect it. That's what he said word for word on the Tucker Carlson show. And Tucker let him have it. You're elected by the American people. Now, when we come back in the next segment, I'm going to detail this bill, this part of the bill, in this massive multi-thousand page document that no one will read before they vote on it. And we'll rubber stamp this. What exactly puts us at risk as Americans by agreeing to this provision of commingling our militaries? This is scary. And I'm hopeful that when you're done, you're going to be concerned enough to take action. Now, I think we can turn it back and not have it voted on before the midterms. And I think that may happen anyway, but we need to make sure. But then after the election, don't go into a political cave. We need to rise up and say, we're not accepting this as Americans. Are you with me? I hope you are, because at the end of the day, if we don't stand together, we are in big, big trouble. And right now, we're losing sovereignty over our country. We've already lost TPUSA, Charlie's version, to Erica's version, where it's all pro-Zionist, it's all Israeli donors. And you young people out there in colleges need to be willing to fight and die on behalf of Israel foreign policy. No. And I will tell President Trump this, or anybody else who follows him, if you think the youth are going to go along with this, and if you think that in 1968, burning draft cards and protesting at the Democratic National Convention, or I should say rioting, if you think that was volatile, I have a feeling it's going to get a lot worse. And I'm not advocating for violence. I'm just saying human nature. These young people are not going to fight and die for Netanyahu. It's not going to happen. I don't care how many times Erica Kirk says it's our duty to do what Israel tells us, or you're being anti-Semitic. And I'll say it again, as I said it earlier today, I'll be called anti-Semitic for saying our militaries need to be independent of one another. We need a relationship with Israel. We need an alliance with Israel, and we should codify it, but we don't. But ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line is the first covenant was the first covenant. That's Genesis 12:3, Abraham, God. I'm not bound by that. I'm bound by following the teachings of Jesus Christ and holding on to my covenant with the resurrection and the promise of eternal life for those who submit. That's it. Now, for that, I'll be called anti-Semitic, and I'll just remind people my grandmother's maiden name was Freiberg, German maiden name, refugee maiden name, Freiberg. Anybody else want to call me anti-Semitic because I'm pro-America first, calling for a relationship with Israel, but not an unqualified abeyance? I'm Dave Hodges. This is the Common Sense Show. If you've not signed up for our newsletter, you need to. You get daily of what we do right there, one-stop shopping. It's free. Just go to the website, put in your email on the upper right-hand corner for the newsletter, and you'll get yours first thing tomorrow.